Okay, it's time to make some more videos, and I am running out of questions, folks. So if you have any that you'd like me to discuss, go ahead and put them in comments below the videos, and I will add them to the list if they seem like they'd be a good video. So there you go. So let me go ahead and start with this one. John, you must have had some dark night of the soul in your life, death, divorce, etc., where maybe you weren't centered in love. How did you work through them? Do you ever call on your old friend Jay? Thanks. I love this question for a couple of reasons. Of course, I've had my moments. I've been divorced 3 times, and none of them were pleasant to go through. I've lost jobs. I I grew up with an abusive father who told me to get the F out of his house on Christmas Eve. There's a lot in there. Dark nights of the soul. They were hard to go through. The majority of my dark nights of the soul with my father, and especially everything, was long before I had a spiritual belief, and I was deep in the throes of being a Catholic, and so my worthiness and all that was made it even darker, because I was made to suffer, because that was, I'm a wretch, like the Bible says, like Amazing Grace says, right? So prior to my what I would consider a spiritual awakening, I just basically suffered through and really didn't feel worthy of asking anyone for help. Then you asked me the question: do I ever call on my old friend Jay? I would never call on my old friend Jay, because that would be completely against what he taught. That would be completely against what he taught. You are directly connected to God. There's no need for a middleman. So I don't go to the personality of Jeshua in times of need, because that would be completely disrespecting him, in my opinion. For me, and it's my belief. If it's not yours, I respect that. For me, because I have these memories, knowing full well that his frustrations were always in the fact that none of us felt worthy enough to realize that we were one with God. And he wanted us all to know that. I have ears. You have ears, but you do not hear. You have eyes, but you do not see. And he was frustrated because of the fact that no one was getting the fact that they already are 100% one with God, and so there's no need to reach out to anybody else. And ever since that awakening, and ever since I started following those beliefs clearly, I haven't had dark nights of the soul. I just haven't had it. And the reason I haven't had it, because something you said in here is this: maybe you weren't centered in love. Well, when you realize that you are one with God and God is love, you start creating from a loving place, from a place of love. And when you start creating from a place of love, there is no dark night of the soul, because the dark night portion is just your fears. It's just your anxieties. It's just you just choosing to focus on the negative. And in reality, any situation that happens to you in life, you can choose to go, oh, okay, and just move on to the next thing. But when you focus on the negative, that's where you have your dark nights of the soul. I'm quoting you, dark nights of the soul. I don't believe in dark nights of the soul, so I don't have dark nights of the soul. I don't believe there's anything out of my control that I can't overcome. I just don't believe that. I mean, I've had too many things in my life that I've experienced to prove to me that I create my experience. And, yes, things come into your life that seem contrary sometimes. But I have to tell you, ever since I started following my beliefs, my truth, clearly, I don't seem to have them. They don't seem to come. It's been years and years since I've had a dark night. Even my third divorce, was so easy. And it sounds terrible to say that. It was so easy to just let that go. And it was so, it's interesting because, I'm friends with my first wife. I am co-parenting with my second wife, who I almost never speak to. And I I never know nor see anything about my third wife. It's almost like she doesn't exist in my world because we just don't. There's no connection. There's no. I don't have any ill will there. And the point of this whole thing is that when you have moments, it depends on where your mind is, where your heart is, where your soul is, and if you're focused on how bad things are, you're going to have your dark night of the soul. Every time I say that, I think of Batman for some reason, the Dark Knight. But your world is your creation, and you can choose to focus on having a dark night of the soul, or you can choose to create love into your world at any given moment. And so that's my thought on this question here. And go out and choose wisely. Go out and choose to love. Just choose to love and watch how your world smooths out. You guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. See ya. Bye.
Thank you so much for watching. The John of New channel is solely funded by your generous donations and purchases of private readings and merchandise. To help out, go to johnofnew.com or use the donation link in the description below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.